Before the Fevo video gets started, I want to say a huge thank you to you guys for 30,000 subscribers. The channel's been growing bonkers in the last couple of weeks thanks to the Fevo video. So thank you guys so much for supporting. We've got a 50% off sale on Drop the Anchor clothing. Jump on, grab yourself some gear. Free shipping on all orders over 50 bucks. Support the channel. Anyway, let's get into the video.
Last week, we picked up our budget Evo from the impound lot after being informed that it had been stolen. While I was stoked to get the car back, unfortunately, it came with 3 brand new viewing windows in the engine block, and this left us with a bit of a dilemma. What engine do we replace it with? Honestly, I've been losing sleep over this, so I put the question out to the YouTube world and you guys had some pretty interesting suggestions. So I did some poking around, scrolled Marketplace for hours, and finally I came across an engine that piqued my interest. Now this is an engine that you won't be expecting. But let me explain.
So to help you guys understand how I came to decide on the engine package we're going to be using for version 2 of the Fevo build, I have to take you through my thought process a little bit and how we came to that conclusion. So the first and most obvious idea that I had was building a forged 4G93 motor. So that's the motor that's currently in it, getting a new block, putting forged internals in it, slapping it in, winding more boost into it, tuning it, and kind of having the car as it is, but more powerful. That would also include putting an LSD in the gearbox, because even at the power that it's at now, with the single wheel spinning, you just can't get the power to the ground very easily with the 160 kilowatts. So imagine if we had 200 plus kilowatts trying to get that power to the ground with no LSD, it would just be no good. So the total price of that package, if we were to do that, was going to be about $4,500, including the LSD, which is about $1,500, and obviously the forged motor build. Now I'm going to be real honest with you guys. As much fun as I've had in the Fevo, I'm not a massive front wheel drive guy. We've got my rear wheel drive drift car, the E36 above me. We've got my Datsun 280ZX over there, turbo rear wheel drive. We've got Tara's car, R34 turbo, rear wheel drive, and pretty much all of the cars that I've had growing up have been Silvias, Evos, which are 4-wheel drives, always pretty much rear wheel drive. It's in my blood. So if we're going to be putting that much effort into this car, I feel like it at least has to have 4 wheels spinning, if not just the rear wheels. So the built 4G93 motor is off the table. Then we move on to the most obvious next option, and that is a full Evo 4G63 4-wheel drive swap. Now everything always comes down to money. This is a 2001 CE Lancer. I bought it for $1,000. We always have to take that into consideration. The 4G63 swap with the 4-wheel drive, all the driveline, rear diff, transfer case, everything like that, you're at about 10,000 Australian dollars before you even start the swap. That's not including, of course, all the cutting, welding, and time that you have to put into the swap to make it actually work. Now I'm not saying you can buy an Evo for, $10,000, $15,000 or whatever. They're about $30,000 here, but you're starting to get outside the realm of like what's realistic with this car. It's also building a car that already exists. As much fun as it will be, and I know a bunch of you guys are super keen on seeing me do it, it just doesn't tickle my creative fancy that much in putting a 4-wheel drive 4G63 in this car. So the price plus the lack of creativity with it kind of takes that one off the table also. So if we're not going 4-wheel drive and we're not going front wheel drive, that only leaves one type of engine orientation left. That means we are going rear wheel drive. But what motor are we going to use for that? Unfortunately, all the 6-cylinder motors are pretty much off the table because of the amount of room that we have to play with. I'm sure you can make them fit. So, an RB, a JZ, I'm sure you can make them fit in the engine bay if you really wanted to. I myself feel like that's going just a little bit too far. And again, even with an RB or a JZ, you're going to be $7-8 grand deep with the motor and gearbox clutch package before you even start. And also, I want to keep it 4-cylinder because these are a 4-cylinder car. So it just doesn't feel right kind of moving away from that. I priced up an SR20 DET swap. So again, we'd be about $7,000 deep for engine, gearbox, loom, and all that stuff before we even get started. Still a little bit on the pricey side for me. And then I had another thought. I'm from New Zealand, and we are very big on the engines that I'm about to talk about. I'm a big fan of them, but I know a lot of people aren't, and I know that they're quite underrated. So I reached out to my friend, Dr. Drift, and I said, hey, do you have any CA18 motors in stock? He, in fact, did have one. Full engine, loom, gearbox, everything package for $2,500. And so I'm stoked to announce that we are going to be doing a rear-wheel drive CA18 DET motor swap on this car. Before you start doubting me, think back to Tokyo Drift, the rear-wheel drive Evo when he's learning to drive on the dock in that car. I've always fancied having a rear-wheel drive Lancer or Evo ever since I saw that movie. Now we get to make it a reality. Here is a quick rundown on the CA18 DET motor if you're not very familiar with it to get you inspired.
The CA18 DET was the last version of the CA engine to be released and was manufactured from 1985 to 1994. It's a 1.8 litre dual overhead cam motor that produces 124 kilowatts or 166 horsepower from factory, utilising a Garrett T25 turbo. Our specific motor came out of an S13 Silvia, and for some weird reason they don't have the best reputation here in Australia. Nonetheless, they're fantastic engines, and with the right mods can produce good power and sound awesome.
So the CA18 DET motor, very, very cool engine. Will make 200 kilowatts very easily. So that's one thing ticked off my list. Is a 4-cylinder, another tick. Dual overhead cam, which is awesome. And they look pretty cool. They're like a 4-cylinder RB. They're a very compact motor. And in this engine bay, I think it's gonna be absolutely perfect. I'm sure we can make one appear like right there, like just a picture of one right now. See? I reckon it'll look pretty sick. But any doubters right now that are watching this being like, ah, I wish you did this, I wish you did that, stick with me. Honestly, this is gonna be such a cool build. Another reason I went with this is because Woz, who does all the fab work here, this is his FDR X7, used to drift an MX-5 drift car, and here's a spare MX-5 full subframe, arms, hubs, everything ready to go. So we're actually gonna be running an MX-5 subframe in the rear of our car. I'm also gonna do a couple of body things to the car. So I plan on getting the Evo flares for the rear, which is gonna be cool. I plan on getting the Evo front guards, and then we're gonna mold them into our front bumper because they're a bit wider at the front here, and same at the rear bumper with the flares. We're pretty much going to go for a wider look, and then I'm planning on also finding some 3-piece wheels. I got some new lips from my Velside Andrews 3-piece wheels over here, and ever since I got these, I've kind of started to get obsessed with 3-piece wheels and like rebuilding them, because the lip literally changes the whole look of the wheel. So I was thinking maybe we could get some 3-piece wheels as well, put some bigger lips on them, and just make the car look like super cool, but rear-wheel drive CA18 DET. And I'm not planning on like doing this build rushed or budget either. This is gonna be a full-on build. Think Jimmy Oakes with his rear-wheel drive Nissan Civic thing that he did. Super tidy build. That's what we're gonna be doing here. So all the cutting, welding, painting, everything's gonna be super tidy. And I plan on having it being just a really good looking car. Hopefully when the engine's in, we've done a good job as to where it pretty much looks like it's supposed to be there. But that is the plan for the Fevo. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Love it or hate it, let me know your thoughts. I'm open to it, but hey, please stick with us. Hit that subscribe button on the build and follow it. We're starting next week where we're gonna tear this car down completely. I've committed, so this turbo setup has already been sold, gone. So there is no turning back from here. Rear-wheel drive Lancer. I think it's a world first. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone's ever put a CA18 DET into a CE Lancer. So thank you guys again for all the love on the previous video. I hope you guys are enjoying the Fevo content. I can't wait to get started on this journey. It's gonna be a good time. Support the channel, drop the Anchor clothing, 50% sale on right now until Sunday. Go grab yourselves some clothing. Lots going on. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next week in the new Fevo video. Cheers guys, peace, bye.